Hello, and welcome to WyTime 2.0. My name is Alan Nuss, and I'm going to be your host as we walk through the new WyTime 2.0 system. At this time, you should have your WyTime 2.0 Supervisor manual in front of you, because I will be referring to that all throughout this training. On page 3, it shows the login screen, where you put in your username and your password, and then select the blue square with the blue triangle in it. And it will load up to this page on the screen now. The very first thing we're going to do is go ahead and punch in. And you can see on the right, it says punch in. Anytime you select a link from that right-hand related items menu, it's going to open up a new tab. You can see here, there's a new tab now. You still have your original tab, and there's a punch in tab. On page 4, it shows these two buttons. These are actually directed buttons now, so when you select punch in, it actually puts a punch in on your time card. And when you select punch in for lunch, it actually puts the punch in time for lunch on your time card. On page 5, it talks about signing out. Up here at the top, you'll see the sign out. When you're done utilizing the WyTime system, go ahead and select sign out. And it'll bring you right back here to the login screen. On page 6, it talks about punching out. So let's go ahead and we're going to log back into the system. And you'll notice on the right-hand menu, there's a punch out and activities link. Once you select that, once again, you'll open up a new tab. And I want you to notice there's two forms. There's a change jobs and location form, WDH2. We'll talk about that later. Right now, there's a WDH3 clock out form. Go ahead, when you're ready to clock out for the day or when you're ready to clock out for lunch, select WDH3. You'll get this page that says you've clocked out and it's been transferred to your time card. And that's all there is to it. From there, you'd sign out and go to lunch. On page 8, it talks about approving employees' requests. So since you're a manager and you have employees, they want to take time off, and you need to make sure that that time gets recorded on the time card. So on page 8, it says to go over here and select Manage Time Off Requests. There's several different types of leave requests. You're going to have you'll see leave requests that are canceled, that you've already approved, canceled that have already been submitted, that you still need to approve. Retracted leave that you can't do anything with, and for this set of instructions, the leave that's been submitted but not yet approved. As I click through those, you may have noticed that the buttons on top actually change. So the cancellation that's been approved no longer has an approve button, but the cancellation that's just submitted needs the cancellation approve button. Any leave that's actually been approved, there's no approve button. So there's just details. You can actually open it up, review the details, make sure you know what's going on with that employee on that time. For this set of instructions, we're going to go ahead and we're going to select the vacation request that was submitted. You can select the details. You can review it. You can make sure that the length is 8 hours. You can see this employee is requesting an entire week off from the 6th to the 10th. Now, there's not 40 hours in the length. That's 8 hours per day. That's what you have to make sure you understand about length. This is per day. Let Kronos do the math for you. Once you're okay with the details, you understand what's going on, you go ahead and select approve. The details are going to reappear again. You select the approve button. That leave request is now approved, and it's off to the employee's time card to apply the leave usage that's needed. On page 11, it talks about approving employees' canceled leave. So once again, the original picture shows this screen. You're going to select Manage Time Off. But Manage Time Off is gray because the tab is already open. Anytime you open something, it's going to gray out over here. So for this example, I'm going to go ahead and select back to Manage Time Off Requests. And you can see the cancellation that's been submitted still needs to be approved. So I'm going to select Cancel Approve, review the information, select Approve. Now that leave that's on the employee's time card is no longer on his or her time card. On page 13, it talks about adjusting the time card. And one of the first things we need to do is go in and fix a punch. Many times an employee will punch in or miss a punch, or in this system now you can punch in twice, so things like that happen. We'll go ahead and we'll find our employee with an issue. We're going to double click on his name, and we're going to see the time card appear. Now it's only going to appear in yesterday because out front here, yesterday is picked. So once we go back to the time card, we'll select previous pay period. We'll take a look down the time card, and you can see here, it looks like they punched in at 5 p.m. and they didn't have like an out punch, so it's a little messed up. So we can look at this and we can say, okay, well, we need to put an in punch in. So we'll use the plus minus keys over here, and we can see it added a line, and we'll put in an 8 a.m. in punch, and we will remove the 5 p.m. out punch and make it a 5 p.m. out punch. Once you've done that, you'll see the little orange disc over here. Go ahead and select save. And now that day is correct, but you can see that it actually generated another missing punch in there. So at this time, you could make a determination. You may need to speak to the employee. Did you come in at 1? Did you only punch out once during lunch? Whatever the issue is, and then go ahead and enter any punches that are needed to make the time card correct. So for now, we're going to go ahead and leave that. And I'm going to go on to page 16, where we need to find missing punches. So we know that that employee now has a missing punch, but if you just logged into this system, you wouldn't really have a good idea of how to find that from this screen here. So what we need to do is we need to actually adjust this screen. So instead of saying yesterday, we're going to select previous pay period, and then we're going to identify that this employee has a missing punch. So does this employee, and so does this employee. You know that because there's a check in the missing punch column. Once you've identified that, once again, all you do is double click the employee. The time card appears in the range that you've selected. If it doesn't scroll up and down, or you don't think that it's up to date, you can always select the refresh button. That will allow you to scroll up and down, and you can see there's a missing punch there. Click on it, enter the time. You can also come down here, and you'll see anytime there's a red box, there's a missing punch. Now this employee, once again, they punched in twice instead of punching out. And there's also leave on the same day. So at some point in time, we have to have a conversation with this employee to get this all straightened out. For now, I'm going to leave this because this will help us in the next couple demonstrations. And on page 19, it talks about adding a time off request. So once again, you come to your initial screen. You identify the employee that needs time off, whether the time card's short for the month or whatever needs to happen, or the employee just requested that you put time off in. Whatever happened, go ahead and double click the employee. We're going to go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to find a place where some leave is probably needed. Like on this Wednesday, there is nothing on that day. So either that employee had the day off, or they're going to need to have some leave put in. So for this example, we'll say that the employee needs some sick time. So on page 20, it talks about selecting the pay code column here. So once you go ahead and click on it, you see a please choose from, and a drop down appears. So If the employee needs annual leave, you select the annual cascade. Sick leave, you select sick cascade. If they need admin time, whatever type of leave they need, you go ahead and select that. We'll say sick, it's pretty common. Then you go ahead and click in the amount column, and you say 8 hours. You're not working with AM or PM, you're just working with a total. So you'll see the 8 populate there. The disk is once again orange up here. Once I click on it, it'll go back to gray. And that brings us to page 22, and it talks about adjusting the purple numbers. Okay, we're going to adjust the approved leave, but you'll notice down here, it's all purple, so you can't adjust it on here, which then makes us go to the schedule to adjust it. And that is talked about on page 23. You go up here to the Go-To menu. So we're looking for the 26th up here on the schedule. So we're going to go to the Go-To menu. We're going to select Schedule. You'll notice another tab opens up, and we're going to go over here and we're going to find the 26th. So we're going to take this bar on the bottom. We're going to slide over here to the right till we find the leave request on the 26th. Once again, we're going to double click. So if the amount needs to be lowered, you lower it. If the pay code needs to be changed from annual to sick, you know, employees will get in a hurry and they'll select annual real fast because that's the first thing that pops up, but they really wanted sick. You can come in here and you can make a change without having them go back and retract that leave and resubmit the leave. Maybe the start time was wrong. Maybe they put in, they wanted it at 1 o'clock and they put it in as 1 and it went to 1 a.m. instead of 1 p.m. You can come in here and you can change that also. So for this demonstration, we're going to say that they didn't really need any leave on that day because they did punch in. So I'll put an amount in as 0 and we'll select apply. You'll notice once again the disk is in the same place. It's orange. Anytime it's orange, you gotta select it. It'll gray itself out. Now that change is saved. You'll notice that a tab is open, so we can go ahead and close this. And then the time card will reappear. Now we can scroll down here to the 26th, and we're still seeing that 8 hours of annual leave, right? So we need to go up here and we need to select the refresh button. And now we can scroll all the way down to the 26th again. And you can see that that annual cascade is now 0. It's still there, but it's just 0. So you made your adjustment. That employee doesn't need it any longer. And on the 26th, obviously, this employee was having some trouble anyways, but they were here. They punched in at 8. They punched out at 5. So they no longer need the leave on that day. So that brings us to page 27. 27 talks about adding missing activities. And I'm going to tell you exactly what activities is here in a minute when I show you guys how to do a start activity or a stop activity. But for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to enter an activity for this employee. So you'll notice there's all these default jobs here on the time card. And what that's doing is it's showing that this employee did what they normally do every day of the week, right? But sometimes we have facilities that trade employees, or they get shorthanded, and an employee will go to work for another location, another building, or whatever it takes to get the job done, right? That's what we do. So if we have an employee and we know that they were working at a facility on the 23rd or a different location than what they were truly doing, but they didn't make an activities entry, you can just go ahead and select the default job. You can select search. There's the entire selection of activities. You can scroll down until you find what you're looking for. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look for the Pioneer Home. I'm going to say this is a Veterans Home employee and they needed help with the Pioneer Home, so we said that they could have this employee for the day to get them over their lurch. So we're going to go ahead and select Pioneer Home and select OK. Now you'll see that it changed the 8 to noon at the Pioneer Home. Now this is a start system, so they actually started and ended at 12. If they were there the entire day, you'd have to do it again. So anytime you select a job, it gets saved in that quick menu. You can make that adjustment rather rapidly. Then once again, anytime you make a change to the time card, select that orange save button. It'll turn gray, and the time card adjustments that you've just made are now saved. So what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to go to page 32, and it talks about employee time card approval. So as a supervisor, I'm sure everybody's had to approve a time card before. So now it's really simple. It's right here. Anytime you click onto their time card, you can review it and then select approve time card. You'll get a little informational banner up here at the top, and the time card will go yellow or tan, whichever you prefer. Now, if you've done something like you approve the card early, it still has missing punches, something like that, you can always go in here and you can select remove time card approval. You'll get the same informational banner, and the time card will go back to white. Okay. On page 35, the manual talks about entering activities for yourself. Now, activities is what we just did for the employee. Activities is basically a time study. It's directly tied to budget strings. So if you do something different than what you normally do for the day or for a few hours, and you want to record that time, and you want to make sure that the budget strings are impacted accordingly, all you have to do is go over here, and you'll see punch out and activities again, and then you see the change job and location. So we're going to select WDH2. This is a start time. So once again, we are going to select the Pioneer Home. We'll select OK. And then in the Pioneer Home, this gives you the eligible jobs at the Pioneer Home. Select OK. Once you've done that, you select Save. And now you're working under that new activity. Okay, if you have questions on whether you should be doing this, please speak with your HR team or your fiscal team, and they will help you out. And they will ensure that you understand what you're selecting, why you're selecting it, and make sure that it's recorded properly. From here, we're on page 37. And we're going to go ahead and look at our personal time card, and we're going to approve it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this tab once again. And over here on the right, it says My Time Card. So you select My Time Card. Once again, there's a separate tab that opens, and you can see, we have a few missing punches. Maybe we're looking at this for the previous pay period because we need to approve that. We can scroll down. We can see there are still a few more missing punches. I'm going to talk to you here shortly about that, on how to repair those items. If you need to look at a week of time to ensure that you have enough hours in that week, remember your week starts on Saturday and goes through Friday. So we'll go ahead and we'll look at Saturday the 21st to January 27th. Once you have your dates in there, you can select Apply, and then you can view the amount of time that was entered. Now, once again, this is not accurate time because we are missing a punch. But if we had our time card all corrected and everything was good, you could go up here and you just select Approve Time Card. Once again, you get that informational banner, and the time card goes tan. That indicates that this time card has been approved. Now, since it's not correct, it's not accurate, we have missing punches, we want to go ahead and remove that time card's approval. And then I'll go right back to white. On page 39, it talks about requesting time off, because not only are you a supervisor, but you're also an employee. You have leave accruals, and you want to use that time also. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this tab. We're going to go right back to our original screen. I'm going to go over here to the right, and I'm going to say My Requests. It's going to open up a screen that looks like this, And just like your employee, you're going to go ahead and you're going to go in here and you're going to select request time off. We're going to say Friday, we want the day off. So we're going to say, we're going to select February 3rd. It's going to change the end date to February 3rd. We're going to put in a start time, and we're going to put in a length of 8 hours. Remember, that is the time of 1 day off. So if you're requesting 2 or 3 days off, you don't want to do the math. You just want to say, how much time do I want off on 1 day? Once you do that, you go ahead and select submit. And now you can see up here on the top, there's vacation request. There's the little blue button. So if you needed to retract it and you didn't want that time on there anymore, select that button. Over here, you can see that the sick leave has been approved. Once again, same thing, select that button and you can submit a cancellation. On page 42, it talks about fixing a missed punch. And yes, in WyTime 2.0, you can actually fix your own missed punches. So what we're going to do is, once again, we're back here on this original screen where we logged in. And you can go to the Fix Missed Punch screen. And if we scroll down, you'll see any red box that needs to be fixed, you can fix. Now, it's very important that you pay attention when fixing missed punches. This one looks like a legit punch, but this one down here looks like you punched in at 5 a.m. and you punched in again at 8 p.m. So you may have a punch in here you can fix if you did work a split shift. If not, then you're still going to need your supervisor to correct that. So you worked 5 in the morning till 8 at night, and you want this 8 a.m. punch moved to the out punch, so you get all the credit for all the time you worked. So we're going to go this missing punch on the 26th. Looks like we worked till 5 p.m. and we'll say we came in at 8 a.m. So I'm going to click that, and you can see this button up here now says Fix Missing Punch. I'm going to select the Fix Missing Punch button, and then we can say we missed that punch at 8 a.m. So once I have 8 a.m. in there, I can select Submit. Now you'll see up here at the top, it says your time card is not totalized. Please wait or press refresh, which means that if we scroll down here, you won't see that. It still looks like a red box. But it says the punch was submitted. So what we need to do is go ahead and select the little refresh button shown on page 43. Once you've selected that, you can see that your 8 a.m. punch is entered. Now, your supervisor will get an email, but that doesn't mean that the supervisor needs to do anything. It's just notifying the supervisor that this punch has been entered. The next set of instructions is manager delegation. What manager delegation is say you're going on vacation and it's the end of the month, beginning of the next month, and you need a supervisor to go in and approve some time for your employees, things like that, and you want to make sure that your employees aren't left out while you're on vacation. And of course, you don't want to come back to a bunch of extra work. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here. I close my tab. We're right back here at this original screen, and over here on the right, manager delegation. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use my other test employee. I'm going to select my RM manager delegation listed on page 44. I'm going to select who I want to delegate my time to, and I'm going to select my other test manager here. I'm going to say I need help from today until next Wednesday. Okay. Once I select my dates, all I do is say save and close. That manager gets an email, and then they'll be able to come in and accept the delegation. On page 46, it talks about accepting manager delegation. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close this window again, and we're right back here to the original screen. The way we accept manager delegation is kind of the same way that we approve leave. We're going to go over here. We're going to go to Manage Time Off Requests. we are going to use these top filters here to get to the delegations instead of the leave requests. So I'm going to select all. Instead of time off, I'm going to select the RM manager delegation. And then instead of active, I'm going to select all. Let that all refresh. And now you can see that I've had a manager send me a request here. They want me to start today and end on Friday. So all I have to do is I can select show detail, and I can select the accept delegation, and I can select save and close if I wanted a little bit more detail on when it was. Or you can just select accept delegation, and that's it. You've accepted that delegation. Now, in order to use it, it says on page 48 that we need to sign out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign out, and then I'm going to sign back in. And up by my name, there will be a little triangle right here. Now, right now, I'm the facility manager. I'm myself. I have my employees listed. I can do my job normally. But one of the other managers is on vacation, and we need to work on their stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select them. And now you can see their employees show up. Now, the employee lists do look a little the same because they're both test managers, but they are two completely separate lists. This list is everybody for the WDH manager now. So I'm acting as the WDH manager. In order to get back, and then you can go right in, you can do exactly what you do with your employees, double click, go to their time card, request time off, or not request time off, but approve time off requests, going through manage time off requests, do everything exactly as you would. And then when you want to be yourself again and work on your employees, you go right here to myself, and that takes you back to your group of employees and takes you right back to yourself. So those are all the steps you need to know to be a good manager in the new WyTime 2.0 system. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching. And as always, have a great day at the Wyoming Department of Health.